Howdy, folks. Welcome to the July 2026 edition of Cattle Trail Showcase. I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. Glad to be your host. Happy 250th birthday, America. We're celebrating this month. The purpose of the Cattle Trail Showcase is to continually highlight the communities, historical elements, museums, and other attractions along the historic cattle trails. And Lonnie Steben is our showcase chair. The Cattle Trail Showcase was initiated 4 years ago by the International Chisholm Trail Association, now is a project of the Historic Cattle Trails Consortium, which seeks to promote all the historic cattle trails, the Chisholm, the Western, also known as Great Western, the Shawnee, and the Goodnight Living Trails primarily. The second annual National Cattle Trails Conference is coming up. It'll take place in Sedalia, Missouri on October 22 through 24, 2026, and you can order your tickets now. www.historiccattletrails.com. And I believe now or shortly, there will be a link up for the Get Down in Cowtown show, which is going to be a terrific show that Thursday night, just as the conference begins. So you want to mark your calendars for that. We're pleased to hear from the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma, that this month they're honoring the vaqueros. Of course, these were the Hispanic cowboys whose skill and hard work helped supply beef to soldiers, going clear back to the American Revolution, and then whose tradition shaped the American cowboy in history we share along the Chisholm Trail. This is an exhibition produced by the Whitliff Collection at Texas State University, presented in partnership with Humanities Texas, and it's made possible in part by a We the People grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities. This exhibit is on display in the month of July, so make sure you can get to that to the museum for that exhibit this month. Today, we're honored to have B.B. Hudspeth with us. He's a nationally recognized collector of Western memorabilia. He's going to tell us about how he developed one of the most significant private collections of authentic Hollywood Western artifacts in the entire nation. It all began with Michael Landon's boots. He'll tell us about that. BB's collection has been featured in True West Magazine, Guns of the Old West, Cowboys and Indians Magazine, and many more. And he is going to share about his collection and how that can be viewed on tour in Kansas during 2027. So, BB, please tell us more about your outstanding collection.
Well, thank you so much, Ron, and good morning, everyone. It is a privilege to be a part of the Cattle Trail Showcase this morning. I want to thank Lonnie for the official invitation, and I also want to thank Michael Grauer for recommending me for this presentation. But as I share my presentation here, as I do that, I want to thank you all for all that you do here at the Cattle Trail Showcase. I know that a lot of you are members of different associations and all, but the way you educate the public and the way you preserve history, and also all of your legislative efforts that I've become aware of, all of those play such an important role in preserving such an important chapter of the American West. And I want to do like Ron does. I want to tip my hat, my imaginary hat, to you all, and thank you for all that you do. As I was preparing for this presentation, I went back and watched the very first Cattle Trail Showcase back in 2021. And as I was listening to Mr. Dennis Katzenmeyer talk about the International Chisholm Cattle Trails Association, he was talking about it, and he mentioned two words that really resonated with me, and those words were celebrate and preserve. And they really resonate with me because it dawned on me that's exactly what my collection purpose is. My collection purpose is mainly three things. I want to share my collection. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing someone reconnect with a favorite Western of their childhood and seeing their smiles and just seeing them experience that nostalgia. And number two, I want to preserve some of the artifacts that I have go back to the early 1800s. And to be truthful with you, all the artifacts have a story. They share a story. And I think those stories deserve to be preserved for future generations. And third, celebrate. Just like Mr. Katzenmeyer said, I don't want to just celebrate the artifacts. I want to celebrate the actors. I want to celebrate the artists, the wardrobe people, the set designers, and especially the real people whose lives inspired many of these stories. I think regardless of whether we have a fictional passion for the American West, or a passion for the real American West, I think we all serve a very important role in preserving and sharing its legacy. I really like what Phil Spangenberger once said. He was also a True West contributor. And he said it's unwise to use movies as a source of real history, but hopefully, if you enjoy the movie and like history, a good film might inspire you to read a book and find out what really happened. And I really appreciate that, because I think that's exactly what Westerns have done for generations. As you know, Hollywood introduced a lot of us to Westerns, but history inspired us to learn more. And before I get into sharing the tour details that we're going to get into a little later, I'd like to share a little bit how I got started collecting. Now, if I were to ask you, and I know some of you were probably born on a ranch, so you had an appreciation for the American West early on. But if I were to ask you, think back to that first Western or Western hero. When you fell in love with the American West, you could probably come up with one right away, and I certainly could. And I had a great grandmother who loved Bonanza, and she loved it to the point to where she actually thought the Cartwrights were real people. I'm serious. She would go around her house going, those Cartwrights are fine folks. And as you know, it just seems like every time, and I was just a toddler, and it seemed like every time we were at her house, Bonanza was on. So, as a child, what you're exposed to is important. And so it really impacted me. And back then, when you were to ask me, what I wanted to be when I grew up, it wasn't what I wanted to be, it was who I wanted to be, and that was Little Joe Cartwright. I even had my own little tan suede pair of boots. Would have come home from school and dress in and put my gun belt on and go out and make up my own episodes and fall off porches and all. But it had an impact, and never in a million years would I ever dream that I would one day own the real boots that Michael Landon wore as Little Joe Cartwright. And let me tell you, these boots have taken me on a journey that I could have never imagined. Some of the artifacts that I share with you upcoming were actually, they stem from these boots here. And it all came from a disappointment. And sometimes disappointments lead to opportunities. And that's for another whole presentation about how these were acquired. But the important thing is that these started this collection that I'm about to share with you. And also my love for museums started when we took a fourth grade class to Moundville, Alabama, which celebrated some Native American history there. And it wasn't just the artifacts that I remember, it was those Native American dioramas that just caught my imagination. They tell a story without even a spoken word. And they captivated my attention, and really, I think it all came down when I realized that museums they don't just display history, they help people experience it. And since then, I have really had an appreciation for museums, and I'm very humbled that I have the opportunity to participate in both collecting and museums at this point. To share a little bit about the details of the upcoming tour, I have to tell you that I am, to put this together in such short notice, I am just blessed to be able to say that we have a full tour for 2027. And I could have told you that back about a month ago before Abilene joined. We were going to start with the Pony Express National Museum. We're going to make one stop in Missouri and the rest in Kansas. And about a month ago, I received a call from Julie from the Convention and Visitors Bureau saying, "Hey, I want to be a part of this." And she said, I was part of the Gunsmoke Trail, putting that together, and I want to be a part of this. So I said, okay, we have some time, January through March, and I didn't know how that would work out, January. But she said, that's perfect. That's Kansas Day. And it worked out that way for every single stop. Every single stop that you see here was the busy time for all of these different hosts. And I'm very grateful for them. I've enjoyed getting to know them here. We're at the point right now where I've shared the list of artifacts that's available for the tour, and I'm letting them kind of go through. Now we're going to have some core items that will definitely be at every single one of them, but they're going to be able to pick and choose some additional ones based on their space and everything. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we're going to start off in Abilene there in January the 29th, and then head on over to Missouri and go to the Pony Express National Museum. Then we'll head to Caldwell, which I know there's a big event there in May, I believe, with Jill, and the exhibit's going to be at the Border Queen Museum and Opera House, and then we're going to head to Hayes at the Ellis County Historical Society Museum, and then head to Dodge. I know they have Dodge Days, I believe, during that period. So it worked out really good. And Dodge was actually the first one we booked, and somehow just kind of fell into place for these other ones here. And a Smoky Hill Museum, they were booked, and Josh there was able to kind of move some things around. So we're going to be able to make a stop there in Salina. And then we're going to end it in Hutch, there with Bronwyn at the Reno County Museum. And before I continue, I've got to give credit to Michael Greyer. Michael and I became acquainted back in 2022 when I had my very first exhibit in my hometown of Lake Gunnersville, Alabama. And Gunnersville, if you've ever heard of it, is only because it's the bass fishing, a big fishing spot there in Alabama. And one thing that puts us on the map is Will Rogers' great grandfather founded our town of Gunnersville, Alabama. John Gunner was his name. And I had a pair of Will Rogers shaps in the exhibit, and the museum director wanted to make sure that, we gave proper care to those shaps. So if you go big. I went to the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, and Michael happened to be there, and I asked him some questions about the shaps, and Michael's reply wasn't just a sentence or two. There were paragraphs. He answered all of my questions. He was so helpful, and I think I contacted him a couple of times, but I knew when it was time to entertain the idea of a travel exhibit, I knew who to go to. And Michael and I have been working together for the past year, and this was Michael's idea. Michael said, let's spend next year cultivating the collection. Let's get it out there. Let's let it grow. Let's let people experience it. And let's do it on the Gunsmoke Trail. And that's what we did. And we started out just kind of focusing on Gunsmoke. And after booking some exhibits with Dodge City and Hayes, I kept going through my collection, and I noticed that there were artifacts that had other ties to Kansas. And I said, well, why don't we expand it? And so I expanded it, and it generated a lot of interest from these other towns because, as you know, Dodge City gets they get the glory for Gunsmoke, and which they rightfully do. But some of the towns really appreciated some of the other personalities of the real West that are also represented. So I'm very proud to honor Gunsmoke and the rich history that Kansas has played in shaping the American West. So one of the first things that we're going to go over is Gunsmoke, and I thought you would appreciate this slide. Here's Marshall Dillon and a pair of shaps. Really goes well with the Cattle Trail Association and cattle trails, and it's one of the few times you'll find Marshall Dillon in a pair of shaps. And there's Jack Elam over here, and Chester with his back turned to us, and there's a pre-Festus Ken Curtis sitting there. And this is from the episode The Jayhawkers. And it's a real good episode, and I thought I'd throw this in there too to make you feel at home. A little cattle drive going there. So I wanted to share that with you. And the first items I'm going to be going over is Gunsmoke. Now, this first item here that I'm showing you is a Screenmore trouser belt that James Arnez wore. And the reason why I'm showing you this is that was my very first artifact from Gunsmoke. And it just happened by, I contacted a company, and I did some business with them, and I found out that they had a Colt Single Action Army and also an Arbo Ojala holster that James Arnez used in Gunsmoke, along with this belt here. And they all three had been sitting in a vault because the collector had lost all the paperwork. So when you don't have provenance, that's just another single action army. So I told them, I said, well, let me see what I can do. Let me see. And I was early. This was my early, and I've been a collector for 28 years, but 21 years as in Western. And so this was years ago. And I said, let me see what I can do about maybe I can find the person or the party who actually originated this paperwork, or where this paperwork was originated from. And lo and behold, I was able to do that. And the person had worked with Stembridge Gun Rentals, and they had all the documentation. So the paperwork was reestablished, and the paperwork was made out to me. So I traded the paperwork for that belt. So that was one item. You know, you acquire items through private sales, auctions. I've been gifted items, and this is a service rendered item. So this kind of started my Gunsmoke collection. I love it. It's very worn. It's probably been in fights and water and you name it. So over time, I've been able to acquire. And the gun sold. A short time later, it went up for auction and sold for $50,000. And lo and behold, they did an article in Truist Magazine and got an article in a local newspaper as well. So you never know. You know, I always say when you feel led to do something, just do it. You never know where it will lead. So yeah, that started it. And over time, I was able to acquire his trademark costume, which it's actually a 6-piece. So you can only see 5 pieces there because you don't see the socks. So there's his trouser pants, or trousers, his vest, another belt. This is an additional belt. His one of his screen worn badges, boots, and socks. And all of this came from the James Arnaz estate. This was a costume that he took directly from the set, and very proud to own that and to share it. Most importantly, able to share it. That's what really brings me joy. Since you can't see the boots, I'd show you. This is one of a pair of his boots there. He signed it, Matt and Gunsmoke in 1955 to 1975. He kept all the studio tags, which is great. And he was a collector, and he loved items. If he was shooting somewhere off, somewhere in another state, he would stop at either antique stores, or he would support a local artist and bring those things home. So he loved things, and I'm so proud he was, because he took a lot of Gunsmoke items home and made it available for us to be able to enjoy those. And even these socks have the CBS tag on them. So very proud to exhibit those. Those will probably be exhibited separately from the costume, so that you can see those. There's the badge. This badge. He took 3 badges, I know, from the set, and kept those. And he had one of each. One of his early ones, the second badge, which has a little squiggly in between the star right here, and also this is his last style badge, which was worn during the colored episodes through the end of the series. This also came from his estate, and very, very proud to share that as well. Also, these are props that he took from the set that I was able to acquire over a period of time. These are from his private collection, and every one of these tell a story. These 3 oil lamps and these 2 fireplace bellows he took from the set, and he used those at his cabin in Mammoth Lakes to provide light and also heat up his fireplace. This whiskey jug, he took it from the set to use as a gag for for a party that he actually had, and people got a kick out of that. This pot here, when his hat would get wet, he turned it over, set his hat on it to get the shape back, to reshape it. This bowl here, he'd put his keys in, his wallet, and all in his trailer during shooting. And there's a string tie that he wears there during court cases or during special events at Long Branch Saloon. That's the brown tie that he wears. I also have his brown pants that he wears as well, but that's the brown tie that he wore. Those 3 cups, so those have a pretty cool story as well. If you look on the bottom here on 2 of them, he carved his initials JKA, and also wrote Arnaz in a red marker there. Uh, and that was basically to tell the prop master, don't touch these cups. They stay on my desk. These are my favorite cups. So that's really cool having some cups that he actually put his initials and names on. And here's the whiskey jug here. I noticed this during watching this episode with John Carradine, Marshall Dillon, and John Carradine are sharing some moonshine here. And I noticed and you have to sometimes have a keen eye as a collector, when John Carradine turned this up, I noticed, and I had to look real close, he's got a number 3 there on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little 3. And if you can see my mouse, my pointer there, it's got a 3 there. And I knew that there was something on the bottom of the whiskey jug that I had, and I turned it over, and there's a 3 right there. So this is an inventory number that they would mark, and it's some really cool things that you can identify while watching the show. It's always fun to do that. This is one of my prize collections from Gunsmoke. And this is the U.S. Marshal Office, Dodge City, Kansas. Sam, whenever you saw this, you knew where you were. You were right there in Marshal Dillon's office. This has never been displayed to my knowledge. And so what better place to display it? Kansas, the state of Kansas. So next year. What's really cool about this is that if you notice some of the scratches here, you'll notice that you'll see them right there. And I really like the sign because they had multiple costumes, they had multiple props, but this is the original sign that was shown throughout most of the series from the beginning through the end. So I'm very, very proud to have that. If you love Miss Kitty and the Long Branch, you may have noticed this sitting on the wall. This is a royal flush set prop that is sitting that was set used to be on the right side of the wall beginning in around season 9, and then they moved it there on the front wall. If you're inside the Long Branch and you're facing the doors, it's right there on the right above this table here. So I've had this in my collection for quite a while, and I displayed it back during my exhibit in 2022, and it's a privilege to have this. There's Buck Taylor. I wouldn't heard him speak and took it, brought it, and he really got a kick out of it because he has a painting that actually has it in there, and he wrote on the back of it as well. So yeah, it's that's something that will be part of the exhibit. And there it is on the Long Branch. And then here comes Matt Dillon before he roughs up some guys here. You'll be able to see it right there on the front wall. So proud on that as well. Miss Kitty's saddle. You may remember Miss Kitty riding a lot of side saddle, but she also rode a saddle as well, astride there in the episode Miss Kitty. She was afraid of horses. She was scared to death. And there's a story with that. When she first saw that she was going to have to ride a horse in a script, she went straight to the director and said, "What are you doing?" But she worked with a trainer, and the trainer was able to help her, and where she loved riding horses. And this episode is called Miss Kitty. And there she is riding it, and there's the saddle. And she gave a big scare to a lot of the people there, or a few people there in Dodge City. When she left at 3 a.m., she snuck the horse out and rode to get this young boy off a stagecoach to protect him from his father. So the saddle will be there, be available for the museums as well. So there's a good spot of it right there. Very good episode. It shows a good nurturing side of Miss Kitty, like a lot of other ones do. I also have her nomination for Golden Globe Best Supporting Actress for Gunsmoke, 1972. That will be there as well. I also have some of her personal items as well that will be there. Some of her, I've got some of her matchbooks where she collected, and I speak on the art of collecting, and I tell people that learn from Miss Kitty. You don't have to spend a lot of money in collecting. She had matchbooks, and you just didn't cost her anything really, probably just the trip there. And I have a rhino as well. She loved animals and was very active in paws, and I have her rhino sitting right here on my desk, and because I like rhinos, they charge, so and so a lot of people like to see the personal side of the actors. So that'll be available as well. Chester, here's a shirt and a pair of suspenders from Dennis Weaver from the Western Costume Company. I was told, or some of the provenance showed that he had gifted these or donated these suspenders to a museum. And I did some research, and lo and behold, I found an article that basically says a celebrity museum is collecting props and actors, and Dennis Weaver has sent them the suspenders. And he's got a little note up here that says, for 8 years, Gunsmoke, on Gunsmoke, these suspenders have really given me good support. So those would be available as well. And it's always fun researching and finding additional provenance. There's his director's chair that will also be available to be displayed as well. And here is a pair of undershirt sleeves worn by Ken Curtis as Festus. And you're probably going, sleeves? He did not wear undershirts. If the lights were too hot for him and he wanted to be comfortable, so he would cut the sleeves and he would support them with rubber bands on his sleeves. And that's a pair that were gifted to me from a friend who worked on the series. Stephen Lodge, Stephen Lodge was also a writer, but he got to work on toward the end of the series as the assistant to James Arnaz, Buck Taylor, and Ken Curtis and Milburn Stone. And he was also the wardrobe set man for episodes. And when the series ended, he walked over to the set and borrowed these, and permanently borrowed, and he gifted these to me. And they're a unique artifact, and I really look forward to sharing these. There's a pill bottle, ether bottle from Doc Adams' office, and this came from his medicine cabinet. And they were having a CBS affiliates meeting there on the set, TV programming, and they had a breakfast there on the set. Wouldn't that have been cool to be a TV operations manager for a CBS station and be able to meet the cast? And he handed this to one of the operations manager from a station and said, keep it. And I acquired this from the operations manager's son later on. So that's a fun thing to be able to exhibit. And also, some people like to know what goes on a set. So I've got some call sheets here from 2 episodes. As you know, productions have a very tight schedule. This has everything, basically what's going on for that shoot, and everything from the time that the people are going to makeup, where the scenes are going to be shot, what time. So this gives the visitors kind of a chance to see what goes on in shooting on a daily basis. So these are called call sheets. So I've got a couple of episodes, Manolo and the way it is there. All right. And let me first mention, these are a sample of the artifacts that I'm going to be covering. There's more Gunsmoke items that are also available. So right now I'm just kind of doing a sample, because I know we're kind of on a schedule here. So, but this is also, and all these are Kansas related. So here's a screen-worn coat and vest worn by Bat Masterson. I think Gene Barry's as cool as a cucumber with that derby and cane. And this coat and vest are from Western Costume Company, so they will be available. Here's Guy Madison's screen-worn hat in The Adventures of Wild Bill Hickok. So Wild Bill Hickok had Kansas history. So this hat is signed by Guy Madison inside, and it will be made available as well for the museums to exhibit. And here's Hugh O'Brien's Wyatt Earp Arvo Ojala custom-made gun belt and rig from the Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp. I got to meet Hugh O'Brien as a sophomore in high school, because I was a Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Ambassador as a sophomore. And I got to travel to Auburn University where we had a conference, and I got to meet him. And I remember everything detailed of his speech, because I was a big Western fan there. And he talked about he was a stickler for authenticity, a stickler. And even when shooting firearms, he wanted full load blanks, which is the sound of a single action army. And he did not wear hearing protection. So he lost his hearing because of that, because of his his desire to be authentic. And he also wanted a gun belt that like this one here. So Arvo Ojala made him this gun belt, and the studio wouldn't pay for it. He had to buy it himself. But it's a pleasure to be able to now be the caretaker of it and be able to share it. And we reconnected years later, and he sent me signed photographs and all before he passed. So that was great. Also included is Clint Eastwood's screen-worn chaps is Rowdy Yates and Rawhide. We all know Rawhide has a big historical some relevance in Kansas, and those were the chaps that he wore, and it has then these came from Western Costume Company, so they will be available. And if you're if you're a fan of Wagon Train had multiple episodes that had ties to Kansas. And if you'll notice, when the show came on, it started with that title card, and if you go to the exhibit, you'll get to see the original artwork from that title card. This is the original artwork that was used, and I also have Robert Horton's as well that will be available, as well as Robert Horton's green jacket that he wore, and also his dressing room plaque. So it gets you get to see something that really hung on his door, and as his Flint McCullough character. So that will be available as well from Wagon Train. We have Noah Berry Jr.'s quirt used in Red River. A lot of time, this has relevant ties to cattle drives, as you know, and this was the quirt that he took from the set. And actually, Michael gave me a heads up when this was available, so I acquired it, and it will be available as well for the exhibit. And also a big drawer. This is a big draw from, and you know, of course, Tombstone was more Arizona based, but they came from they traveled from Dodge City into Tombstone, and this is Wyatt Earp's signature wardrobe ensemble, 7-piece worn by Kurt Russell, and I'll give you a little bit of information. I get contacted about this from collectors wanting to acquire it, but it's too much of a staple of the collection, and I really enjoy sharing this. That's one of my favorite movies, Tombstone is, and he's wearing it as they get into Tombstone, and this is the same scene where he takes Billy Bob Thornton by the ear and drags him out, and at the Oriental Saloon, and then he becomes an employee very quickly after that. So that will be a part of the exhibit or be available. And Dances with Wolves has Kansas ties there in Fort Hays. This is a buffalo head prop used in the hunt scene, and the special effects team did an incredible job in this film. This is just an amazing film. They had 23 fake or mechanical buffalo that was used in this scene. And basically, this was used in the hunt scene where you see carcass lying in the fields. And what they did was they took this foam carcass and placed this head on it, making it appear that it was part of that carcass, excuse me. And here's the hunt scene, if you remember the film there. And there's the carcass, and there is the head that it's placed up against, and also here's Kevin Costner getting a view of how they made the buffalo work in that scene. So the special effects team did an amazing job, which I think helped the film earn multiple Academy Awards. All right, this coat is from the TV movie Buffalo Soldiers, and Buffalo Soldiers was about an African American cavalry team, and this was worn by Glenn Turman as Sergeant Joshua Joy Judges. And if you'll notice there, he's getting shot here in the arm, and the coat still has the blood stain years ago when this film was made there. So that's pretty cool there. You can see the bullet hole where it went through right there. So yeah, it still has the blood stain. So that, of course, this film has Kansas ties as well. Does anyone know what kind of rifle this is? Well, if you guessed Winchester, you're correct. If you guessed Henry, you're correct. And if you guessed a Hollywood rifle, you are really correct. This is a modified rifle that Stembridge Rental was able to modify to make it appear as a Henry. Henry rifles were too expensive to throw around on a set, to fall off cliffs and so forth. So they took an 1892 Winchester model rifle here, put a barrel of a Henry rifle and modified some other areas of the rifle to make it appear as a Henry rifle, as a period. So because they did it for period purposes. And here you've got some blanks, 5-in-1 blanks that the studios would also receive. So this will be available. It gives the visitors a chance to see. This was a rotating rifle, which means that once it left the studio, it was sent to another one all those years. So it was constantly circulating throughout Westerns. And 5-in-1 blanks are basically, they went through and created blanks that would work for different model guns, 3840s, 4440s, Colt 45s, to where they didn't have to issue different blanks for different guns. So I've got some boxes here that will also accompany as well. So hopefully they'll enjoy those. And here's a picture of Dan Blocker. Look at the rifle. It's one of those circulating rifles right there. So it's a Henry rifle and a Winchester, and be either one you want. But it's mainly a Hollywood rifle. All right, the last artifact that I want to share with you, this is a very special, this is a real artifact that I'm making available as well. We looked at some wagon train artifacts, and this is a real wagon train artifact that traveled on a wagon train and was brought by Captain John Heinlein from Bucyrus, Ohio to San Jose, California. So during that travel, this was in 1852, this Bible would have traveled in the north, what would be soon be the northern part of Kansas during that exhibition. And Captain John Heinlein would settle in San Jose, California. He would become a successful businessman, and he would become a hero to the Chinese community. In the 1880s, the Chinese Market Street in Chinatown was burned down by arson, and through personal threats and every which way you could think, even with threats and all, Captain John Heinlein allowed them to rebuild on his personal property. And the Chinese community has never forgotten that. And in October of 2023, the city of San Jose and the Chinese community honored him with Heinleinville Park. So he is a true hero to many, and so they have a park now in his honor, and so that's a real artifact there. And so I'm really looking forward to making that available as well. He signed it, John Heinlein, in the Bible. So that's also a special part of my collection. So really, that's a sample again of the various artifacts that we'll use. We also have Kirk Douglas's Doc Holliday Code and Edith Head costume designs from Gunfight at the OK Corral. It has some Dodge City ties there. Sam Elliott's director's chair from Tombstone, and some more original artwork from Wagon Train and original artwork from Rawhide, and some available artifacts, real artifacts from Buffalo Bill Cody and John Wesley Hardin. So I hope that if you're from Kansas, or if you're making a trip there, I hope you get to visit Kansas and visit one of the locations there. I'm really looking forward to celebrating the state and just sharing it. And as I say, Hollywood introduced many of us to the American West, and history inspired us to learn more. And that's basically what I hope visitors are able to experience, both Hollywood and history. So thank you very much.
I'll go ahead and stop. Thank you so much, BB. I'm going to give you a virtual round of applause here. Outstanding.
Thank you.
These are real treasures, and boy, we're excited to be able to see them firsthand. Questions? Are there questions from our participants today? BB, I don't know if you've ever asked to put a dollar value on what your collection could be worth. maybe that's dangerous ground to go on to, but these appear to be treasures. And for those of us who care about the West, it will be extra special to see them.
Well, thank you. You talk about dollar value. I thought I did until, and I will tell you, I will tell you, and it's good news because the American West is on fire. Just based on sales here recently of Hollywood Western memorabilia. Clayton Moore's hat, one of his hats from of course, the Lone Ranger sold for over $300,000. And the reason why I say this about my collection is one of Kurt Russell's bunt lines, one of three, last year sold for $550,000. And that's why I don't know that, having a full costume. I don't know. I think now I know why people have contacted me for that costume. And I think it's the person that owns the bunt line. But it's hard to put a price. I need to have them reappraised. But and to me, to be honest with you, to me, they're more sentimental value and more of a value. Just being able to share them, that's the value that I have, is just being able to take them out of the dark. They do no good sitting in dark rooms and covers. Get them out there and let people celebrate them. So
appreciate that.
Sure.
I'll bet you Oren Friesen will let his hat go for $299,000.
Let's do it. It's worth more than that, I'm sure.
I do want to get the contact information for BB, because
we can barely hear you, Oren.
I said, oh, well, I'd like to get BB's contact information because I've got some museum connections as well. So
sure,
like
most definitely. Okay. And I can give it to you. If you go to my website, it has all my information, and it's my name. You should be able to see my name here. It's without the periods. It's BB Hudspeth collection.com. What's that?
BB Hudspeth, what was it again?
Collection, BB Hudspeth collection.com.
Okay. And I think we've got it in the chat. I think you should be able to access it in the chat too there. Anyone who's interested.
BB, this is Lonnie. Oren has a very extensive history in radio. I guess I'd go clear back to Western at radio when Western was on radio, wasn't it, Oren? Or
well, yeah, I used to listen to that stuff when on the radio. All those Gunsmoke on the radio and Hopalong Cassidy and all that stuff. So
that's you got to experience true American West there. And radio actors, wow, what talent they are. They have to paint a picture for you, and yeah, great stuff.
Other questions? Any other questions for BB?
Oh, there's got to be a bunch of them, Ron.
Well, I'm just excited to see these things in person, so we'll look forward to that. And,
I'm sure there'll be more information. There'll be more information coming out as we get closer to the 2027. But I mean, you can follow the website. But
and we've talked to BB about having information at the National Cattle Trails Conference here in Sedalia this fall. So we can get more specifics right there.
Yes.
Any other questions for BB?
Well, I just have a comment. This is Lonnie again. I mean, it's not
you're breaking up, Lonnie. I'm not hearing Lonnie, and I wonder if we've lost connection for a minute.
I'm very interested in hearing this question.
Yeah. He's frozen.
we're all in suspense, wanting to hear what Lonnie's question was.
I wonder if he did that on purpose, just to put us in suspense.
That was a teaser. Well, we might have to follow up with Lonnie and with you, BB. Yeah,
there's Joe.
Go.
Yeah,
he's dropped off. We'll see if we pops back on or not.
Hey, BB, is your email address on your website as well?
It is. There's also a contact form, but if you want it, it's bb at bb Hudspeth collection. So it's bb at bbhudspethcollection.com.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, folks, if there's no other questions, last call, we can let BB go. Let's give BB another round of applause here for a really fascinating look at Hollywood memorabilia that celebrates the American West. And BB, we appreciate you greatly. We look forward to learning and seeing more and seeing the exhibits in 2027.
I see we have one of the hosts that actually joined, Jill. So yeah, she's going to be in Caldwell. So yeah.
Caldwell, the Border Queen, perfect place to be.
Yeah. I'm already promoting it. I took a picture of our screen while you were talking, and I pushed it out there to save the date because we have so many Gunsmoke fans here. But I've got all kinds of ideas to help pull together some other ties. So I'll be chatting with you.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.
Yeah, same.
We're thankful. Caldwell, certainly the Gunsmoke Trail folks, plus Salina and Pony Express. There's Lonnie coming back in, I think. Lonnie, did you have another question?
Well, sorry about that. Here we have the most reliable internet except Can Okla in this area, and I lost it. But that's very, very unusual. I don't know what happened. But I just wanted to thank BB for not only the artifacts themselves, but to me, the backstory is the most interesting part of how these come about. And I just can't imagine collecting all those things. You must spend a lot of time doing that. So really appreciate you sharing.
365 days a year. Yeah, you do it 365 days a year. You're on some type of collecting effort because you never know what you're going to miss. So I don't know if that's good, but that's the way it goes. Thank you, Lonnie.
And you have a rich memory there too. All right. Well, thank you, BB, and thank you all for joining us. August 14th would be the next Cattle Trails Showcase, and we'll be taking a detailed look at the National Cattle Trails Conference to be held in Sedalia in October. So make sure you join us for that. Until next time, this is Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate, saying thanks for taking time to join us in this place, and come on back next month for our Cattle Trails Showcase. Happy trails, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Finish. Can we stay on for just a minute? I got a couple of questions.